Combat Down Under here with the IBF Youth Middleweight Champion, Mitch Leek. Mitch, how you doing, brother?
Yeah, good, thanks, mate.
Mitch, I wanted to start off and talk about your introduction to boxing. You got started quite late, if I'm not mistaken. What age did you get started and what motivated you to start?
I started just doing a bit of fitness sort of things when I was 14, just sort of your HIIT fit sort of classes, and then I sort of went away from it at about 15. I've done 12 months of that, and then got really back into it when I started doing my footy, the senior football and stuff like that. Yeah. Dad always said I need to learn how to protect myself going through those sort of ropes, and he always just told me that one thing he always tell me is one of the big senior boys will pick me up and throw me over the fence, so I need to learn how to fight. And that's where it sort of started. From there, we started doing a little bit of sparring, and I went all right at it. And then I dropped off it again. And then probably about, I reckon, I was 17, 18. Went down, I started doing a bit of fitness again, and I was playing a bit of high-level footy and just wanted to get that bit of extra fitness and sharpness on my side. And I started with the fighting farrier, Julian Holland. And he sent me down to, we did a bit of training there, and then went from there to Johnny Dunas, and done about 12 months there before we ventured over this way and just started through the amateurs and that with Johnny. I think I had 2 or 3 fights there, 4 fights there in the amateur system. And then we come across here, had an amateur fight with Team Ellis, and that was a really good experience. We had a tough boy there, and then we moved on from there to a few exhibition bouts, and that just opened me up to a bit of exposure with sort of the pro sort of scene. We were on a pro night. There were some great guys there. We done one of my exhibitions with the late Dwight Ritchie, and that was a real good opportunity for me there to be in with such a seasoned and experienced fighter to be able to go through the ropes there. And then we've sort of flourished from there. If you look, that was probably 6 years ago now, 5.5, 6 years ago. Yeah, so it's been a pretty big progression from there to here, and now we're sort of fighting for a few big belts, so it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, how many amateur and exhibition fights did you roughly have?
I think we had about 8 amateur fights coming through, and I reckon probably 2 or 3 exhibition fights thereabouts. So we didn't have a substantial amateur career at all, but Jakey always said I had a great style for the pros. My amateur style wasn't as good. I was a 50-50 record in the amateurs. I wasn't that good. I was still learning. And being that sort of late start, like I started boxing properly, and then within a couple of months I was at the fight. So I've been learning on the fly sort of the whole way through, and it's sort of now we're actually getting into the groove of things where we can start learning the nitty gritty things. And even now, every day we're in here learning more and more and more. So it's a great thing to be able to come into the gym every day and just learn something else, pick something else up, and just keep expanding my career. And you can see from the fights, the progression in steps we're taking, and it also shows in the records that we're fighting, the people we're fighting now for the different belts. Yeah.
And did you do any other sort of martial arts growing up?
Nah, just rode horses my whole life, and football. That's all I ever knew, and some farming. I probably had to wrestle with my old man when I was a kid, and probably got beat up by my sister, but that was about it.
And did you have any fighters who you idolised growing up?
No, I didn't watch it. To be honest with you, I just didn't follow. I didn't follow it. It wasn't something that even now I don't watch it that heavily. To be honest with you, I watch the top boys. I love watching Canelo. Loved watching Triple G. Yeah. And sort of I come through in the back end of the Mayweather Pacquiao sort of era. It's good to see Pacquiao having a swing now, but
well, they could be fighting.
Yeah, they could be fighting again. There's talks of it. You never know, but yeah. And then I love watching the heavyweights. I love watching Anthony Joshua, and name my dog after Anthony Joshua. It's AJ, and my horse after Tyson Fury, and that's Fury. So they were two of my favourite fighters. Sort of when I sort of started watching it, and I just love watching the heavyweights.
Yeah. Man, you've been putting a string of really impressive performances here in Melbourne, and you've developed a strong name for yourself. Was there a particular fight that you feel really put you on the map here on the Melbourne scene?
I think we sort of progressed quite quickly, sort of from fight to fight to fight, and then I think it was a string of fights. Like we had my first fight against Jaden Riddle, we got a stoppage there, and that progressed us through to Damien Locke, and then I might have been the other way around, sorry. And then from there, I think what really catapults was the Higgins fight. We got a really good stoppage early in the fight there, and then the momentum from that into even like my fight against Jack Brubaker was probably my biggest stepping stone, definitely my toughest opponent, most seasoned, and someone that's so well known on the scene. So to be able to progress onto sort of fight like that, we then catapult onto Channel 7, were getting broadcasted and getting advertised on while the AFL was playing. So that was sort of probably the biggest exposure I had that really opened me up to the wider boxing community. And now it's sort of just growing that name, growing my brand, and hopefully the big fights come off the back of it.
Yeah. And is there any particular athletic ability that you have which you think has helped you bridge that gap compared to someone who's been boxing their whole life?
I think it's just I've grown up a life on the farm. I've always just been grown up active. It's not I wasn't grown up just running around the streets riding a bike. I was riding horses before I could walk. I was out riding dirt bikes. We were out running around on the farm. Like, we didn't have PlayStations, we didn't have iPads. We were on the farm playing. So it's just probably one of those things where I was luckily brought up in that situation where I was always active, always doing something, always sort of moving and running. And even when we had mates over, we're never inside. It's even now we're never inside. It's one of those things. So I was very lucky and fortunate in that circumstance that I was brought up, I think, on the land, and it's something that has probably got me to the situation I'm in.
Yeah. As you said, you're a horse trainer. That's another passion of yours. How did you go about getting in that industry, and how many horses do you train?
It's something I was born into. The racing goes through our family for years. I said it to someone the other day on the podcast the other day. It was my great-great-grandfather won the Caulfield Cup in 1900, and my great-grandfather won the Melbourne Cup in 1942. Wow. So it's in my heritage to be a racehorse trainer. My brother trained, my dad trained, my mum trained. My mum was a jockey. I think it's something that was just a progression for me, and something that I think I was always going to end up falling into at one stage in life. And luckily for me, it's come pretty early. I'm very fortunate to be in the circumstances I'm in, where I can train racehorses as well as train my boxing. It's a very lucky sort of thing, and I'm pretty fortunate to be able to do it. Yeah.
Any of your horses racing this spring carnival?
Yeah, no, we haven't got any that quick just yet. We're still they're pretty quick, those horses, and ours are just a few donkeys out in the bush. But look, they're building up. It's a progression thing. It's much like boxing. The training scene with the race horses, it's such a competitive sport. You've got such great trainers there. They've got such a big head start on you, and it's like me with my boxing now. I've got to take those steps to keep building my team and keep building the stable at home with the horses. And year by year, we're getting better and faster horses, but it's just a progression to eventually get to that top stage. Yeah.
And do you have any tips for our punters out there? Maybe a tip for the Melbourne Cup?
Oh, a tip for the Melbourne Cup? I don't know. I'd be looking at anything that's French or Irish, I reckon, that likes a wet track, because it looks like it's going to be a lot of rain and they can normally stay pretty well. So that's probably my best tip.
Okay. How do you go about balancing the horse training and boxing, especially when you've got a fight coming up? Do you have others helping you out with the horse training, or are you doing the same amount of work regardless whether you've got a fight coming up or not?
I'm pretty lucky. I've got my whole family in it. So I've got my mum in it, my dad in it, and I'm lucky that their workers can then help. I've got mates that help me out as well. So I'm very fortunate for the circumstances. I'm at home and we can all train off sort of with one another. So I'm always very hands-on with my horses. I'm there every morning. Start at 5 every morning, and you work your way through. And normally we get in during the day. We're training sort of lunchtime. The horses get a few hours off, and I get back in there every afternoon and finish off what I have to finish off. So I'm in pretty fortunate circumstances. I can work my own hours and work things in sort of where I have to. So it's a great setup I've got at home, and something I probably wouldn't change.
Yeah, okay. Last one on that. Do you think there may come a time in the future, as you continue to climb the ranks in boxing, that you may have to put the horse training on hold for a bit?
No, definitely not. It's something I would never put on hold. That's where my heart lies as well. So you got two loaves of bread, and it's a loaf's a loaf. I'm not getting split in half. It's I'm doing both. It's something that's probably non-negotiable for me, and it's something that if we've got big fights coming up, with big fights come big money, so you can always get people in to help you out and get workers in if need be. So that's always something that we can look at, but at the moment, I've got such a great balance, and like I said, I'm fortunate for the circumstances that I'm in, that my mum and dad both train as well. So where I can be sort of training, they can fill a void for me, or workers or mates and everything all know what they're doing, so they can also step up. So I'm pretty lucky there. Yeah.
And you were rumoured to fight in July on Stan. That fell through. Could you tell us why?
It was just more a contract thing. We were hoping for the fight. It was a really good kid from WA. We were looking at fighting, and unfortunately fell through just with a contract. He was contracted for as a first emergency, and he unfortunately got a call up for my circumstances. He got a call up to fight, and that took the sort of fight off us. So there was no real things. It's just boxing, and that's the sport. But we'll take every opportunity we get when we get the call up, and that's what we're doing now. We're just taking fights as they are, and we could have fought on the Team Ellis show, but we took the risk to take the stand, and hopefully there was a show on No Limit as well there we looked at, but it's just contracts, so we'll just keep ticking away and we'll take our fights.
Yeah, and is that something we could see possibly next year, you fighting on a platform like Stan, Fox Sports or DAZN?
Yeah, 100%. I think you watch this space we're in now, it's growing. There's a lot happening with Team Ellis at the moment. There's a lot happening with our fighters here. We've got such a great stable of fighters here, from me, Tommy, you've got Clay Smith, you've got a massive bring-in, which is Nels. He's starting to come back on the fight scene now from the NRL, and I think where Team Ellis is sitting now, I think we're going to be in a really good hot seat next year. We've got so many belts just in the one gym alone that I think there's No Limit, the Foxes, I think we could all be sort of wandering into those sorts of scenes and see Team Ellis all involved with that as well. So whether they're exclusively on a DAZN, a Fox or something like that, or they're wrapped in with another sort of big promotion as well, I don't know yet, but it's pretty exciting what the next sort of 12, 24 months holds.
Yeah, and you've got a fight coming up December 6th. You're fighting Rivan Cesaire. He's a real veteran in the fight game, fought guys like Jeff Horn. How do you rate him as an opponent?
Yeah, definitely one of my toughest opponents. I think by far one of my craftiest and would be one of my smartest opponents by a mile. And that's something that needs to be deeply taken into consideration, which we are, and we're working very, very hard on. We've got a strong game plan in place, and that's something we're working towards now. And look, we're 5 weeks out now, so we're working bloody hard. And it's an interesting fight and an exciting fight. I'm really excited for it. It's going to put me into a great position. Like you said, he's fought some great fighters. He fought Lenny Zapp, dropped Lenny Zapp in the first round. I watched the fight and I thought he probably won it. I thought it was a pretty rough decision. And then you see him, he draws with Jeff Horn in the first fight, a bit of controversy there. And then he got beat the second fight, but he's fought some of the best of the best and come out victorious in most of the fights he's come into. And I think he's although he's a veteran, I think he's won his last 6 or something like that. So he's definitely one not to take lightly, and it's a great, interesting fight. Yeah.
And without giving anything away, is there anything that you're specifically working on in this training camp to prepare yourself for Cesaire's sort of fighting style?
Yeah, for sure. It's just bringing the best me. I think the best me wins, and that's the reality of it. I think it's if I can just keep improving, like we said, it's just keep learning every day I'm here and keep turning up every day and just improving on everything. I think that's the best way to win. It's just, I think my best mixes it with anyone in the country, and then once we get to that stage, we mix it with anyone in the world, and that's where we're heading. And I think I keep getting the fundamentals right and keep getting the little things right, and we keep improving. I think it's just going to be a really good sort of flow and effect, and that's what beats him. It's just me at my best.
Yeah. Mitch, how long is your typical training camp?
Our typical training camp goes anywhere from 8 to 12 weeks, just depending on the sort of fight and then how far in between we are for fights. So if we're having a sort of a 6-month break in between fights, we're going to be in a 12-week camp. A short back up into a fight, we might be on the 8 weeks, sort of hard, but usually 8 to 12 weeks is sort of what your camps are.
Yeah. How long's this one?
We sort of had a bit of a flow through. We had a last fight, and then, like we said, we had the stand fight that fell through, and then we had another fight we looked at that didn't end up going ahead. So it's sort of been a bit of a flow on. We've really knuckled down. Probably the hardest last 8 weeks have been real solid, but we've been flowing through for weeks on before that.
Yeah. And do you cut much weight?
Oh, look, everyone's cutting a bit of weight. That's a part of the sport. You got to learn your weight and sit where you are. But middleweight's me. I'm not going under it. I'm not going over it, and that's just where we sit. So middleweight's a perfect division for me at the moment. So 72.5's me.
Yeah. Mitch, what would you say is the best moment of your career so far?
I've been pretty fortunate to have a few. What would be my best moment of my career so far? Yeah, I think the Jack Brubaker fight was a special fight. One, it was the first Channel 7 show in Victoria, and he was my biggest fight. We had a few things going on at the time with my hands and stuff like that, so it was a big relief as well. The Higgins fight was probably the biggest relief for my camp. Because it was probably my biggest step up at that time, progressing from sort of that level of fighter to come up against someone that had already actually fought some very good fighters himself and was a sort of established name as well. So there's been a lot of good moments through it. Like, look, even winning my first Australian title to IBF World Youth, there's been so many great highs already, but I'm sure there's probably plenty more higher ones to come.
Yeah. And who would you say is the best person that you've sparred?
Best I've sparred. Like, we've sparred some pretty amazing people. Like, probably one that sticks out for me was probably one of the reasons that I started boxing properly, and that's probably Jeff Horn, coming into Manny Pacquiao. Dad flew me up there, and I was very fortunate. They took me into their camp with open arms and let me train with them full on for a week. And I think it was during school, Dad let me come out of school for a week, and I literally just trained. I was in there training. There was Dennis Hogan, Jeff Horn, and you had a team of great amateurs there as well. They were getting ready for the Olympics. They all ended up going to the Olympics, and it was just probably one of the biggest eye openers. And then to get in there and spar with Jeff as well. I remember I got to come out with a black eye in one round, so I was going all right. But that was probably my biggest eye opener. And it was probably something that really gravitated me into the sport, to see how hard they train, running with them, looking at their sessions. I was training literally how they were training for a full week, and then from there, it's probably what got me so addicted and really got me hungry for the sport. And that's where, when we come home from there, we ended up actually here. I went from there, and I was actually giving it away, and then I was going to go play football, and Dad said, no, let's go do this. And from there, we ended up here. So it's probably my best moment and probably my most memorable sparring session. Yeah.
Mitch, what do you want to accomplish in your career? How far do you want to take this? What are your goals?
I think it's just going as high as we can. I think we definitely have the ability and the capabilities of mixing on the world scene, and that's where we're aiming for. I think if you're not in the sport for that, then you're in it for probably the wrong reasons, unless you just want to have a couple fun fights. But boxing's not a sort of sport you want to stick around and just get hit for fun. So we're in it to go to the top, and that's sort of where we're heading now.
Yeah. Mitch, last one for me. There are some real talented Aussie middleweights out there. Some are up-and-comers, some have a bit more of an established name. Are there any Aussie middleweights who you have your eyes on and would like to fight someday?
I think that's just, like I was saying, it's probably a natural progression of how we're building. I think we're eventually going to be coming up against the top boys up the top. Yeah. I'm about number 4, I think, at the moment, 4 or 5 at the moment, and we're going to end up fighting the boys up above me and probably below me, I think. Yeah. Look, if you're going to sit there talking names, I think Brock Jarvis is one we would love to fight. Yeah. Going down the track, and then from there it's just a flow-on effect of who comes next. It's we're not sitting here calling people out. We're not sitting here chasing fights, because we know the fights are going to come, and we're just building momentum. We're going to keep winning, and when they come knocking or we come knocking, it's going to be game on. Yeah.
Mitch, thank you very much for your time. We got it done. I think this was like 3 months in the making. Good luck for your fight, December 6th. I'm keen to see you keep climbing up in the ranks. I do think you're one of the best young Aussie fighters at the moment. So good luck, and keep hustling and keep doing your thing.
No, thanks very much, mate. Cheers.
Thanks, brother.
Cheers, thank
got
you.
it fucking done.